Welcome to the iPhone 6 review. Oh wait, hold on. This is the Huawei P9. Forgive me for thinking this was an iPhone, but oh my god, this looks and acts just like one. But first, let's go straight into the camera. If you've not already seen the Leica branding on the box and on the back of the phone, it's also plastered all over the Huawei website. This has Leica optics. If you don't know much about Leica, then you won't know that they make premium compact cameras. They are well known for their design and quality. But don't be fooled into thinking that a Huawei and Leica partnership will drastically change their shooting experience. You've probably noticed that this phone has 3 cameras. 2 12MP cameras on the back. One of them has a normal RGB optics, while the other one is another 12MP camera monochrome shooter. The idea of this is that the monochrome sensor captures the detail, while the RGB shooter captures the colour. Hull was pretty overcast, so the images look a tiny bit white even with HDR on. Colours didn't exactly pop as much as I would like under these conditions. There was definitely enough light for the reds to come out. Images had a lot of detail, however. But I just felt like an S7 or even a Nexus 6P would have snapped something better, though that could be due to their superior software. Talking about software, the P9 camera was a learning curve. Initially, it looked quite straightforward, but swipes in various places would trigger different modes, in which the same gestures would do something completely different. I accidentally jumped into Pro mode, which was incredibly powerful, but I had to Google how to get out of it. FYI, it's a swipe up from the trigger. The camera hardware is top notch, but I think the software is where it's let down. Moving on from the camera is the display. The front slab has a 1080p screen packed in 5.2 inches. It's LCD, which means it gets really bright, so it's great in direct sunlight. Honestly, comparing this to the eye-popping displays of Samsung and LG, the Huawei just doesn't look as good, as clear. It's definitely not a bad screen, but I don't think it stacks up against the competition. Back to the iPhone theme, this looks exactly like an iPhone. The speakers at the bottom are shaped like an iPhone, the materials on the back feel exactly like an iPhone, which coincidentally are extremely slippery. Even the colour options are iPhone-like. This isn't necessarily a bad thing if you like the iPhone, but this isn't that, it's a Huawei P9. A quick point in design, the screen is perfectly flush with the side, which felt really smooth. Inside is a Huawei built 8-core CPU, which you can throw anything at. Well, I think so anyways. The phone came along with a plethora of apps, including some premium games too. Well, trials for those games anyways. One of them being Asphalt Nitro. The game was surprisingly laggy. On paper the phone should be able to handle it, so maybe it was just a badly made trial? The rest of the apps that installed worked perfectly fine, and opening and closing such apps were snappy thanks to the 3GB of RAM. In this particular model we had 32GB of storage. Most of that was taken up because Huawei decided to install half the Play Store. There were 33 apps pre-installed, excluding the Google system apps, which just feels excessive. I had a gander at them all, but much of them I had very little use for. It was really weird using the Huawei phone because, although I knew I was using an Android phone, which was running Marshmallow, it felt like I was using iOS. That was strange because notifications, system animations and Huawei apps looked and worked like iOS. But then there were navigation icons at the bottom and the material design of apps from the store. This mishmash of design was weird. Some apps had their settings hidden behind a gear icon, some settings were behind the hamburger icon. It was messy at best. Behind the iOS skin and blur was the fingerprint sensor and its settings. First of all, the fingerprint sensor is one of the best. It was super fast and also really useful. You could gesture on the sensor, so when you swipe down it would trigger the notification drawer. Swiping left and right when in the gallery would change photo, and you could even lock certain apps so it requires authentication to open it. Couple this with the NFC chip inside, which means this is an awesome Android Pay device. I would like to say that the built-in keyboard was awesome. It was the first time I've ever used an Android phone without wanting to switch to SwiftKey. I also like the idea of the floating dock, which rendered navigational buttons on top of apps, though I wish when this was enabled it would remove the black bar at the bottom to regain some screen real estate. I really wanted to like the Huawei P9. My current phone is the Huawei built Nexus 6P, which has great design and great software, so my expectations of the P9 were sky high. Unfortunately, it just didn't deliver. I want to make this clear, I don't dislike the Huawei P9. What I dislike is the Android phones trying to be like iPhones, and that's the problem. Thanks for watching.